Well, good day. Hope you guys are having a great one. It looks like it's going to be another beautiful day out here. We're going to go out. We're going to go out and we're going to chat about this and let's just go. Anyway, I am still getting used to this weather out here. The thermometer, it's saying that it's 82 degrees and man, it don't feel like that at all out here. I tell you, there is a difference between humidity and no humidity at all. And I spent yesterday, again, I'm trying to do this at least twice a week. I'm going to slowly build it up over time. Hiking again, went up the mountain again, and man, it was just such a beautiful time, just the weather-wise and all that. And I wouldn't go up there when it's hot, but nonetheless, man, it's a lot of exercise. I'm actually considering just completely dropping my gym membership and just opting for that, because I tell you, when you get to the top, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's like that's a full workout as far as I'm concerned for me. So, but it's been wonderful. We're just still getting adjusted out here and putting things together and all of that. But yeah, so that's kind of in a nutshell. Oh, we went to the Arizona State Fair last night, and that was really interesting. It was a lot of fun, just seeing everything. We didn't go too crazy with the food though. We did try this thing. It's a Dole Whip, and it's supposedly made 100% out of pineapple. And they have a mango version as well, and I think a lemon version. And they whip it. Now they say there's nothing else in it, but because it almost tasted too good, but I don't know. But it was good. But they had a lot of other things there too. Nobody gonna pay $18 for a turkey leg. I'm sorry, we ain't doing that. But but other than that, it was just fun just to get out there and to see, learn more about the environment and all that. So I'm approaching this park here, I think. So we're gonna pull over. I'm gonna find somewhere to park, and we're gonna talk. We're gonna chat, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, I see where I'm going now. Okay, so I found a lovely spot here. And so if you see me kind of squinting a little bit, it's because I got full sun in my face and I love it. Okay. So anyway, yeah, so let's get into it. So, well, rather, before we get into it, let me just say this. Be sure to make sure you're checking out our community page, because as you know, we have been on this road to discovery and unraveling the many lies that we have been told. And family, let me tell you right now, it has been painful. It's been painful to me on a very personal level, to find out all these years, the amount of time you put into this stuff, the amount of times you repeated these things, and only to find out that a lot of it just was not true. And I, like I said, starting with me, did not take the initiative to actually do my real due diligence and looking into these things, actually picking up books and reading them instead of just relying on secondhand information. That was one of my greatest mistakes that I made. And, and what I'm doing now is making sure that doesn't continue. And so this is why we're meticulously going through a lot of these things and just unraveling this stuff. And by doing so, I tell you, deep down inside, I am starting to feel a sense of greater freedom and liberty and just a deeper understanding of who I am, who we are, and what we are here to do, And so, so I'm using the community page as a way of just putting these little nuggets that I'm coming across. And it's kind of like a notepad, things I'm coming across, little notes, and I'm just sharing it with you. So make sure you check it out on our community page, okay? So we have that. But let's get into the meat of it, of what we're going to talk about. As you can see, Zimbabwe, which is a country that's 98% black, has just selected a white woman to be their representative in the Miss University University. Yeah, universe pageant, universe pageant. And so, as you can imagine, people have a lot of mixed views on that. There are people who are angry. And as I said on my post on the community page, I said, listen, Zimbabwe is a country that's 98% black, 98%. So let's stop pretending that this white woman kind of stuck in the back door, grabbed some votes, did some magic, and then now all of a sudden they were just completely caught off guard. And how did this white woman get up here? She got up there because she was endorsed by the black establishment that's in that country, period. They were not powerless at all. This is what they wanted. They wanted a white woman to represent them on the world stage. Okay? Now, however you feel about that, however I personally may feel about that, it's irrelevant. I'm not of Zimbabwe origin. I don't represent Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is not my country. This is their choice. This is their decision. And there you go. So my opinion is irrelevant on that, So this is what they chose. The only people that are angry about this are people who may look like me, black, but they're not of Zimbabwe soil. So that's all the noise that you see on social media. It's really coming from people who don't have any real interest or ties to Zimbabwe. So that's their choice. That's their decision. Like I said, again, that's on them. You understand what I'm saying? Now, here's the second thing that I think we need to really keep in mind here. And I think this is the deeper issue. And this goes to, as it pertains to us as black people outside of Zimbabwe or Africa for that matter. You see, I have long put aside what I have envisioned Africa to be. Now, I want you to really pay close attention to this. This is not saying, because some people, they listen with their emotions and then you want to jump to conclusions. Please don't do that. Hear the whole matter. Number one, I love our people in Africa. When you look at our history, when you look at our culture, I'm talking about us as those of us of African descent that's been all over, in Central America, South America, in the Americas period, in the islands or whatever, or even throughout Europe. Those of us that are of African descent, one, if you're honest and you look at your culture, study your culture. And when I mean culture, I mean those actual instinctive practices that you do every day. You just do it instinctively. You are going to find overwhelmingly African-based practices, period. And this is where our people who are tied in, we ain't African at all. We're Native American and all of that. I put out my challenge before, and I'm going to continue to put this challenge out. Name me one recipe, just name me one recipe of Native American origin that your family provided, passed down from generation to generation. Name me one. Every time I put this out, I don't get an answer. I never get a straight answer on that. However, when it comes to those of us that do understand that we are of African descent, there are numerous things that we can point to that we do instinctively practice, and it is African when you hold it side by side, period. So if you are a person that's triggered by those facts, then I would advise you go ahead and turn off the video and keep it moving, keep it pushing, all right? But I bring this up because I want people to understand, number one, I'm very proud of the fact that we are linked to our people on the continent. That will never, as far as I'm concerned, go away. I'm very proud of that fact. That's something I embrace. However, I have long gotten away from this thing I have in my head that Africa one day is going to become this Voltron. For those who are too old, Voltron was basically a cartoon where you had different pieces and they all came together and they formulated this one robot, and the robot did whatever it was going to do. And so this mindset, this ideology that I've had in my mind that Africa is going to one day come together in unison and they're going to flush out this, or they're going to correct this or that or whatever. I've long gotten rid of that notion in my mind. And someone brought up a very, very good comment. And in the comment, and I'll just summarize it, they brought up a very good point, and that is we have to understand this whole thing of believing that this belief that we believe that Africa needs to become unified or is going to become unified. It's kind of it's not realistic. I mean, that's probably the best way to put it. Now, let me give you, so again, don't listen to your emotion through the lens of your emotions. Listen to everything I'm saying here, then process it, okay? So take Europe, for example. When we look at Europe, to this very day, Europeans still fight against each other. Now, Europe is made up of different countries and different cultures, right? Even with that, even though they may unify at certain points, there's points of unification where they do get together. By and large, they still box at each other all the time. Case in point, look at the current war right now between Russia and the Ukraine. And even amongst the world bodies that are lining up behind Ukraine, there's still a lot of disagreements and things behind closed doors. You may not hear a whole lot about it, but they fight all the time. This is historical. This is just a matter of fact. You understand? So Europeans have always fought against each other, and they continue to do so. Why? Because they are individual. So Italy has their own desires, their needs, their goals, missions, and all of that. Germany, the same thing. France, Greece, name the country. They all have their own thing. And so there's going to be clashes. That's just by nature. You understand? So that's not anything new, and that shouldn't surprise anybody. So likewise, that same standard needs to be applied to Africa. Africa is made up of many cultures, many different cultures. And I mean, just take a look at countries like Nigeria, for example. It's made up of many different cultures. And so people look at Nigeria and like, why can't they get it together? Well, it's because the Europeans came, scooped up these people from all these different cultures, put them in one space and said, we're going to call it Nigeria. And then those of us who are not in Nigeria look at us and look at them and say, why can't they get it together? Well, it's because you got all these cultures that are all pushed together, and you think that you can snap your fingers and they're all going to just start working together. It doesn't work that way, family. It doesn't work that way. Okay? It doesn't work that way when you talk about Europeans. It certainly ain't going to work that way when it's talking about us. Now, there are some deeper things that as a people, Africans that have gone through colonialism, those of us have gone through racism, this products of slavery here in the Americas. There are some more deeper issues that contribute to this. But by and large, to have this expectancy that Africa is going to become a Voltron and going to just automatically come together and going to start working together, it just ain't going to happen anytime soon. Why? Because again, like I said, they all have their own unique interests. When you look at different African countries, there are some African countries, believe it or not, whether you want to agree with it or not, there are African countries that benefit from, and I put benefit in air quotes, from white supremacy. They benefit from it. So if they benefit from it, and what I mean, for example, there are African countries that allow Europeans to come in and to mine all their precious metals and resources. Again, when I say benefit, I'm putting air quotes by that, because the governments of these countries will say, well, we benefit because they bring jobs. Now, I don't agree with that logic, but that's what they see. And that's their interpretation of it. And they're going to defend those perceived benefits. You understand? So you got some African countries that are going to fight for or alongside what we call white supremacy. And you got other countries that will not do that. So just on that level alone, there isn't going to be a Voltron moment, so to speak. I'm not trying to be negative. Some people think they want to tune this off and say, oh, you're just being negative or whatever. We have to be realistic. This is why, again, I pointed to the European example, where you're always going to see cultural fighting or infighting, if you will, because each culture has its own agendas. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I think we got to put aside this whole dream, if you will, that, Africa one day corporately is all going to come together, formulate this Voltron, and they're going to put all their armies together, and then they're all going to fight going to go to wage war against Europeans. No, not anytime soon. That would make a very good turn of events, but the probability of that, when you look at history, we don't have any record of that ever happening in history. See, if we had a historical precedent, that's one thing. But even when in slavery, when the Europeans first came to the continent of Africa, you had some tribes or kingdoms that were, hey, we're going to work with these people. But then you had other tribes that said, nah, we ain't working with these people. We're going to go to war with them. So we have no historical precedent at all of this ever happening, So, hey, how y'all doing? Hey. So if that's the case, then what is the basis of our, how can I say, of this thing we have where we are envisioning this Voltron moment when we have no historical precedent of that ever happening? And what I'm saying to you is, I think it's a bit unfair to expect that. Do you understand what I'm saying? When you don't have any other historical precedents that you can point to, even in other continents, there's no other historical precedent that we can point to on that. So anyway, so to wrap this up, so Zimbabwe, that's their choice, that's their decision. And as a country, that's what they want to do. That's their choice, and so be it. You understand what I'm saying? I don't look down on them or anything, but I will say that image of the black woman, the Zimbabwean woman, black Zimbabwe woman, putting the crown on the Rhodesian woman, the white woman. When I tell you that thing it speaks volumes. It speaks a whole lot of volumes. We actually have done a video talking about the history of Rhodesians in Zimbabwe and how ruthless these people were to the tribes that were in that part of Africa. I mean, these people were ruthless. These people brought in lynching. They even have a museum, I believe, in Zimbabwe that highlights this, how they were doing massive lynching, and this was used as a template to what they were going to do in America. I'm talking about the Europeans were. They were ruthless what they did. I mean, they were wiping them out by the tens of thousands. And now in 2023, they're actually crowning one of them as a representative of their beauty, elegance, and everything about their culture. This is what the decision they made. So you got to move on, and that's it, And so I wanted to do this video because this video is going to tie into a live that we're going to do a little bit later, where we're going to talk about, because the story does not stop there, family, and it should not stop there for us. There are alternatives. There are things that we can and should do, and I'm going to point to many examples where if you follow these examples, these basic examples, you will definitely have a very fulfilling, happy, prosperous life where you can be proud of the skin that you're in and the way that our Creator made us. And it's a very simple thing, but it's going to take some unmasking. Anyway, my camera overheated, but what I was saying was basically it's going to take some unmasking. We're doing some unmasking right now, and so in this video that we're going to be doing, this live that we're going to do, we're going to talk about that. It's a painful process. It's one that's going to take a lot of work, but we're going to do it step by step, and we're going to get through it, family. We're going to get through it, but it's something. These are conversations we're going to have. We're going to be talking about. The main topic I'm going to be talking about in this next video is simply there is no black community. There is no black community. That's really the topic. And what is community? And so we're going to talk about that and how you as a black individual can create community. All right. So we're saying that there is no quote unquote black community, but then we're going to flip it on its head and say, but there are ways that you can create as a black individual. You can create community. Pay attention to how I'm saying this. You as a black individual can create a community, but there is no black community. Pay close attention to what I'm saying. It's all going to make sense when we do this next video. You guys take care, and I'll see you next time.